He was 26. She was 42. The whole town said it was wrong, but the coldest winter Montana had ever seen would prove that love doesn't ask permission. It simply survives. If you've ever been told your choices were impossible, stay until the very end of this story. Drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this story travels. And if something in this touches you, hit that like button. Now let's go back to 1887, to a muddy Montana road, and to two strangers who had no idea they were about to ruin each other's perfectly lonely lives. The wagon was sunk to its axles. Elias Harrow noticed it from a quarter-mile out. The back left wheel swallowed nearly to the hub in the brown slick that passed for a road after 3 days of hard rain. His horse, a big gray gelding named Cutter, slowed without being asked, sensing something worth paying attention to. Elias leaned forward in the saddle and squinted through the pale afternoon light. A woman stood beside the wagon with a long stick, working it under the stuck wheel with precise, unhurried movements. She wasn't crying. She wasn't waving her arms. She was just working, methodically, the way a person works when they've decided that help is not coming, and so they'd better figure it out themselves. Elias sat in the saddle for a moment longer than was strictly polite. He'd ridden this stretch of trail between his ranch and Dillard Creek more times than he could count, and he'd never seen anyone handle a stuck wagon with quite that much composure. He clicked his tongue, and Cutter walked forward. "Ma'am," he said, when he was close enough to be heard without shouting. She didn't look up right away. She finished levering the stick before she acknowledged him, and when she finally turned her face toward him, Elias got a clear look at her for the first time. She was older than him by a visible margin. Fine lines at the corners of her eyes, silver threaded through dark hair that had mostly escaped whatever she'd tried to do with it that morning. Her face was sharp-featured and composed, and her expression told him very plainly that she had not asked for his opinion. "I can see what needs doing," she said. "I'm sure you can." "Then we're in agreement." She turned back to the wheel. Elias swung down from Cutter anyway. He tied the gelding to the back of the wagon and crouched beside the stuck wheel, studying the mud situation with genuine professional interest. He'd pulled wagons out of this particular stretch of trail before. It was a low pocket where the runoff from the eastern ridge collected whenever it rained, and it had a way of looking passable right up until it wasn't. "You came down from the ridge road?" he asked. "Does it matter where I came from? Matters for knowing how to get you out." He stood up and looked at the wagon's load. A cedar chest roped carefully in the back, 2 traveling trunks, a crate with what sounded like kitchen things when he nudged it with his boot. "You're loaded heavier on the left. That's why the wheel went in deeper. If we unload the chest and redistribute, I know why the wheel went in deeper." He looked at her. She looked at him. "Do you want help or not?" Elias asked. A long pause. The kind of pause that meant she was having an argument with herself. "If you're offering," she said finally, with the tone of someone granting a favor rather than receiving one. He almost smiled. Almost. Her name was Marianne Ashcroft, and she told him this only after they'd worked together for 30 minutes in the cooling afternoon air, getting the cedar chest down, relaying flat stones from the creek bank under the wheel, coaxing the wagon forward inch by stubborn inch. She told him her name the way people tell you a thing they know you'll need eventually but feel no urgency to provide. "Marianne Ashcroft," she said, while they rested and the horses blew steam into the air. "I've been hired on as the school teacher in Dillard Creek." "Elias Harrow," he said. "I've got the ranch about 4 miles north of town." He paused. "The school's been empty going on 2 years." "I know, I read the letter they sent." She wiped her hands on a rag she produced from her coat pocket. "Apparently the last teacher left without much notice. She got married and moved to Billings." "Yes, people do tend to complicate their arrangements by getting married." She said it without bitterness, or at least she said it in a voice that had learned to sound like it wasn't bitter. Elias wasn't entirely sure those were the same thing. "Where are you coming from?" he asked. "Ohio." He looked at the wagon, at the trunks, at the cedar chest they'd set carefully on dry ground. "That's a long way to come for a 2-room schoolhouse in Montana."